Internet, I am Elliot the purple-haired doofus, and I am wearing the same shirt that I was wearing yesterday. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be, because I told you I was going to keep on reading, and that is exactly what I did. Welcome back to Ready Player One. Today, we are discussing chapters 0015 and 0016, which conclude the first part of the novel. 0015 starts with Wade going back to Ludus to go back to school and finding that the planet has been overrun with Sixer ships. They are pretty much going foot by foot looking for the Tomb of Horrors on the planet. Only they have no idea what they're looking for. Wade looks at his messages and finds a message from H telling him that he wants to talk to him ASAFP. Wade then, of course, talks to H and asks him if he heard what happened and mentions Mrs. G going down after his house exploded. And H offers to do a chat. It's at this point that I find that H is a good fellow. Well, not that he hasn't been a good fellow before. It's just he takes this so well. He can tell that his friend, who he knows as Parzival, is taking this really hard, and H doesn't blame him at all. H says, if I hadn't have ignored all of those messages from the Sixers, I would probably be in the same situation, and I don't blame you for not ignoring it. You are going through something rough right now, so it's really hard to live out life right now. You know what, H, every time you interact with Wade, you just make me like you even more. Don't die. I'm going to keep on repeating that every time I talk about you in a good light. Do not die. Okay? H suggests that they start up a private chat with just Parzival, H, Artemis, and the two other names that came almost concurrently before the Sixers took over and flooded the leaderboard with just nameless numbers. The chat begins with Wade coming in first, and the first thing that happens is H standing up without saying a word and just giving him a hug. Do not die, H. Do not die. Artemis shows up shortly after, and she comes up with the most clever nickname for the Gunters that I've ever heard. Well, not the Gunters, but just those particular Gunters that got in before the Sixers. And she calls them the High Five, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. The other two, Dayato and Shoto, show up, and they turn out to be brothers. And I'm not exactly sure that I trust them yet. When I first read that they're coming in, I don't know what to expect from them, because everything that happened with Wade and the Sixers, my trust is like really something that needs to be earned. So I'm not too sure if I trust these two yet. They start talking and saying that there's only a certain amount of time before the Sixers find the tomb, and Artemis says they've already found it. She set up a camera and she's seen them find the tomb. And the first thing that the Sixers do when they find the tomb is they block it off from anyone else ever getting to it. They put a force field around it, and then they put another force field around that one. So it's kind of like an airlock system. So, like, the Sixers go through the first force field, then they block it off, and then they unlock the second force field so that they can get in. Wade then tells the rest of the High Five what happened to him when he met with the Sixers, and how they blew up his home and could have killed, like, the entire community that he was in, just to kill him. So he puts everyone else on high alert, letting them know that the Sixers are after them. The brothers start saying that there's no way that the other Sixers can figure it all out, and then Wade tells them about all the equipment that he saw during his tour. One of the machines that he saw was a machine that allowed other people to control your avatar, so that no matter what, if they have one person that can do it really well, that person can make sure that everyone else does it just as well. It pretty much gives the Sixers the ability to mass produce the key and give it out to all of the other Sixers. The brothers keep on saying the Sixers have no honor. I agree with them. The Sixers are just bastards. Then Wade says, well, we brought you all here because we need to talk about this. And the brothers say, well, we're not forming an alliance. and they start to argue over the fact. No one there was even thinking about an alliance, but they did admit that they needed Wade's help just finding the copper key in the first place. And then brothers leave. The three remaining kind of argue over whether or not H really instigated that or not. They all agree that they're not going to form an alliance, and Artemis says, well, I better get going because I want to get it up on YouTube, because I'm going to be the one to find the egg. H and Wade are just kind of like, yeah, right. You go out and you do that. And so Artemis leaves, and then it's just H and Wade, and while they're talking, a stack of comic books fall over. And I'm thinking, oh shit, IROC was in the room the entire time. It never actually says that in the chapter, but that's what I'm thinking. IROC was just invisibly watching the entire time. H tells Wade not to be so paranoid about it, and I'm super paranoid about it. I'm wondering who the hell was watching them, because comics just don't fall over on their own. And then that ends chapter 15. Chapter 16 begins kind of like a news report. It basically tells you everything that has been going on planet Ludus ever since the Sixers have found the tomb. They upped all of their security levels so that no one can get in, except for the authorized Sixers, of course. Gunters started flooding the planet. It got so hectic with the Sixers and the Gunters that the schools there had to create another planet, a Ludus 2, so that they could actually continue to teach people. Sixers just flood the leaderboard. Because it takes so long for the Sixers to go through the War Games flip sync, it's probably like 36 to 40 other Sixers get through before all of the Gunters buy these huge bombs off of eBay and destroy the barricade that the Sixers put up. And once they destroy it, well, the Tomb of Horrors is just flooded with people, Sixers and Gunters alike. And since the area is flooded with Gunters, the Sixers find out that their barricade or putting up another barricade is useless. There's no point to it. And then it starts getting into Wade's life a little bit. After his aunt's building had been blown up, there's no reason he needs to stay where he is. He gets his first paycheck from all of the endorsement deals that he signed for his avatar. He packs up all of his stuff and he hops on a bus and he heads to Columbus, Ohio. I can only imagine he's going there because that is where the Sixers are. On his way to Columbus, Ohio, he's on the Oasis and he's creating a whole new identity for himself because he can't live as Wade anymore. He can't get another home as Wade anymore. So he comes up with the name Bryce Lynch and he buys his very first apartment in Columbus, Ohio while still on the bus. He's looking at the window a few times on his trip just to experience world outside of the city that he grew up in, and he finds that the world is truly decaying. It's dying. It's dismal and bleak, and it's nothing like the world in the Oasis, or nothing like the world that he imagined outside of the city. He gets to his apartment, which is actually a renovated hotel room. He gets to his home, he closes the door, and he vows never to leave for the outside world until he's found the Easter egg. And that's pretty much where level 1 ends. Actually, that's exactly where level 1 ends. And that's just a really dismal way to end the chapter, but it does give me a break. The question for today: had you been in the same experience as a high five, would you want to create an alliance with the other 4? Or would you want to go solo, like you had been going your entire life? I will answer that one for you tomorrow, but before I leave you, I have another one to answer, which was yesterday's, which was, what would it take the Sixers to offer you for you to take their offer? Since the Oasis is such a huge part of Wade's life, I would ask for complete control over what happened to Oasis after I found the egg, because I would want to make sure and maintain Oasis stayed exactly the way that it was. If they couldn't offer that to me, then no deal, because the whole point of going against the Sixers in the IOI, everyone's afraid that the Sixers in the IOI are just going to destroy the Oasis. and make it an awful, awful, awful place. So if I were Wade, I would say, I will help you as long as I get complete control over what happens in the Oasis. About a 95% chance that they would say, go screw yourself, but if they said yes, I would take that offer. I have been rambling on enough. I have been the Purple Hair Doofus, reminding you to watch your Pajama Radius, and I will see you all in the next chapter of Ready Player One. Toodles! Oh, wait, one more thing. I almost forgot to tell you. Since we're almost about halfway through this book, I decided I would announce the next book that I'm reading, just in case you wanted to read ahead, just in case you didn't want me spoiling the entire book for you like I'm doing with this one. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher. I actually got this one for Christmas. I've read about maybe a third of it. I haven't finished it yet, and I'm going to finish it all with you. So if you're interested in reading along with me, or reading before me, go ahead and pick it up now. When I finish Ready Player One, we'll start with this one. But until then, toodles!